This is Daniel Poppy, host of How to Write Good. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Kim Meyer, the host of Choose to Rise here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Choose to Rise, where we talk about living with positive mindsets, how to increase our confidence, building our faith, and living out our life on purpose. A new show comes out via podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you want to catch the episode live instead, stop by Public House Media around 6:45 Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Choose to Rise. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
In 2014, Germany shocked the world by putting together one of the most talented and most dominant rosters in soccer history.
Götze! It's Mario Götze!
Argentina, they were so close, yet couldn't put it together when it most mattered. Now you've got an Argentina team that's hungry for revenge.
Messi! And Yeva couldn't stop it!
But what about England?
Pass to Rooney. Only Sturridge in the middle. There he is! Goal!
Or France?
And Sissoko! They're running riot!
Or Spain?
It's broken for Fabregas. Now it's Iniesta. This is it. That's the goal.
All 32 teams in this tournament are vying for the opportunity to hoist the World Cup trophy.
Still Gervinho. Oh, he's done it.
If you want to be a part of the action at Russia 2018, you're going to need your soccer passport, the World Cup edition. At Public House Media, we are excited to launch a new soccer podcast called Your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition. Come alongside hosts and fans and guests from around the world as we bring you all the action from the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Because who knows, anything can happen in the FIFA World Cup.
What about that? It's John Brooks.
So come on, grab your soccer passport and join us for all the action from Russia 2018.
A sensational volley.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into your soccer podcast. This episode is presented by Squadcast. As a podcaster, one of the most important things when recording remote interviews is the quality of your guest audio. Current solutions like Skype and Zoom are dependent on the quality of your internet signal. Squadcast is a simple browser-based tool that requires no additional software to install. The audio is recorded locally as high-quality WAV files and magically uploaded to your guest's computer. We've been using them now for a few weeks, and we've loved the experience. To get started, go to squadcast.fm for your 14-day free trial. That's squadcast.fm. So I'm joined today by Ivan Sanchez, and we are going to be discussing the 4 quarterfinal matches that happened, as well as we're going to preview the two semifinal matches. So let's go chronologically, and let's start with France-Uruguay. Oh wait, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Zach Wolpoff, by the way. It's late here. Anyways, so Ivan,
yeah.
What were your big takeaways from the France-Uruguay match?
I think for positive for France, I think it comes away that they're still winning and they're still finding ways to get results, even if it's not the type of entertaining soccer we expected from France, especially when you look at their attacking talent. I think all tournament long we're hoping or expecting this free-flowing, attacking kind of soccer, but they haven't really been giving us that. Instead, they've relied on their goalkeeping. They relied on Varane in the back, who's turning into being one of the best defenders in the world, and they're relying on Conte in the midfield, who's the best defensive midfielder in the world, and then just doing enough with their offense to get the wins. I mean, I haven't been blown away by France, but I've been impressed by the way they've been playing. And the Uruguay game was a big game for that because Uruguay's a very disciplined and they're a very hard-nosed team, and they found a way. And France found a way to get a result in that against a quality team like that. And I think that speaks volumes to why they're at the point they are now in this tournament.
Yes, but Uruguay was without Cavani for the match. So how much do you think, if he was healthy and he would played the whole 90 minutes, how much do you think his impact would have been felt for Uruguay?
Well, he's one of the best 5, 7 strikers in the world. So naturally, when you take away that, it helped France out tremendously, and it took away the half of Uruguay's big attacking threats. Suarez, I don't think had a bad game, but I think he was trying to do a lot, but he just didn't have anybody with him, and I think he felt comfortable with doing what they've been doing all tournament long. So I mean, there's nothing but we know how this tournament is with the injuries and a lot of games in a short amount of time, and the ability to recuperate and recover. It plays a factor into the tournament. So unfortunately for Uruguay, that's what happened with them. But for France, I mean, that's not France's fault.
Well, and if you look at the team stats, both teams had 11 shots. Uruguay had 4 shots on target. France only had 2, and they had 2 goals. So I don't know about you, but I like that percentage-wise.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you have to take advantage of your opportunities. A couple minutes before France scored the second goal, Hugo Lloris had a fantastic save to keep the score 1-0. And that's a lot of times how this game works and how the game goes. When you don't take advantage of your opportunities and another team does, you're going to lose. You got to make shots. You got to score goals to win games. And France did.
Well, they did, and it just continues the whole France being very, very good, and France showing up on the biggest stages. And I think before this tournament even began, I think a lot of people did pick France to go on and win the tournament. And so they just showed off to everyone in the whole world again, hey, look at me, look at us. We're still in the tournament. We're still your favorites.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were I know I was. We were expecting them to not be playing the way they play. We were expecting it to be a little different, a little more offensive-minded, a little with a little more flair than what they've showed us throughout the tournament so far. I think that's the one thing with the France team that we've seen. It isn't Mbappe and Dembele and Griezmann and just attacking all out with Pogba setting them up. It's a little more. It's not as offensive-minded like that, and part of it's I think a lot of it has to do with Deschamps, the coach, because he very quickly will go conservative when he wants, or when he doesn't think things are going well. He's very quick to pull the reins back in, and which is completely different than the coach we're going to talk about later with Belgium. But yeah, he's very quick to just pull everything back in and be very conservative when he feels things aren't going well. And that's part of the reason why I think they lost the Euro finals 2 years ago, but it's also why they've made it this far now, and they were finalists 2 years ago in Euros.
Well, they lost Euros 2 years ago because they pulled Payet out on the 59th minute, and Deschamps, not thinking with his mind, he lost his mind for a minute, and pulling out Payet, who had most of his goals, most of his assists, after the 70th minute. What are you thinking, buddy? But I digress.
Well, it's not even that. Oh, that too, but he didn't start Conte in the final either. And Conte does the work of 2 men. Mm-hmm. So that was the big thing he messed up before the game even started, was not starting Conte in the finals 2 years ago.
I still pin it on Payet. I'm still mad about that, because if Payet played that, and I think if Payet played the full 90 in the final, and France came back and tied it, like they actually went ahead and won it, then I really do think Payet, even though he's injured, he would have been named into the preliminary squad, and he would have been the last cut. But we're talking about this World Cup, but I thought he lost it by not starting Conte, and then that forced Pogba to play deeper and come back more to get the ball, and he had more defensive responsibilities. And you don't want to put Pogba in that place. And you see now in this tournament how Pogba's playing much better than he did this last year for Manchester United. And part of it is because he has Conte behind him, who covers so much ground, covers so much space, and does the work of 2 men. That's a really good point. So let's move into our next match that happened later that same day. Belgium versus Brazil. Belgium wins 2-1. What are your main takeaways from this one?
I think for Belgium, it's I was really impressed about how they found a way to win. I mean, obviously, their keeper had a fantastic game. For Brazil, what I found was this was very similar, I thought, to how Mexico wanted to play Brazil, was the way how Belgium played them, except Belgium's attack is just more potent than Mexico's. But both keepers had fantastic games that kept their teams in it. And then Belgium were able to attack more of the weak link of Brazil on the right-hand side against Wagner. And that's what Mexico tried to do. But Belgium just has more talent and were able to just do it more with players like Lukaku and De Bruyne and players and Hazard. I was very impressed by Hazard. Every time he got the ball, he either created enough time and space to get his team to relieve pressure for his team, or he'd get a foul and waste more time. I thought Hazard was phenomenal that game with his decision making when he was on the ball and what he did to frustrate the Brazilian team.
Well, and literally for most of the match, Brazil was just extremely frustrated, and Neymar was even more frustrating. He was just like yelling and screaming as much as he could, and he tried to do everything. But you can't do everything as a player. You have to rely on your support. In this sport, you have 11 guys on your team. You got to use them. You can't do everything yourself. You can try, but you're going to fail. And
go ahead.
Well, I really felt that Neymar tried to put his heart and his soul into it, but the rest of the team just really couldn't get up to his pace. I don't know. That's what I saw in Neymar. Not besides all the diving and all the rolling around on the ground, but
I mean, not as much diving this game because they were losing from the beginning, so he couldn't spend that much time on the ground. But I think one of the big things for Brazil too was Casemiro wasn't playing. Ronaldinho is a good backup to have, but Casemiro does so much when covering defenders and covering the outside backs. He's probably the second best defensive midfielder in the world behind Kante, and you could tell they missed him because he probably stops a couple of those counterattacks that Belgium were able to have in the game with his presence there and the ability to read the game, make the smart fouls, and just be like a nuisance in the middle. And that's something that you could tell Brazil was missing, especially on that second goal, the way Lukaku just ran through the Brazilian defense.
Yep.
But yeah, I think for Belgium, it'll be interesting. As we'll talk about this as the tournament as we look forward into the semifinals. But my buddy texted me during the game. He goes, "Why isn't Javi Martinez trying to lock this game down and putting in more defensive players?" Like, that's not the way Belgium plays, and that's not the way Javi Martinez coaches. He doesn't know how to shut down a game and get away and leave with the 1-0 win. It's constantly attacking. It's constantly going at it, even when you have the lead. And it's been fun to watch Belgium.
Well, so when I saw Belgium play Tunisia live at Spartak Stadium, and one of the things that got me was the fact that they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then in the 60th minute, they bring in Michy Batshuayi, and he had two solid chances to put one in the back of the net, and he hit both posts. Well, he hit a post and he hit a crossbar, and he's just frustrated beyond belief. He's like, "I don't believe this," and then he finally puts one in the back of the net, and he looks like this huge giant anvil got taken off of him, and it was funny to watch because it was just like, "Oh, thank God I scored. Now that's over with." But it could have been 8-2 of that game easily instead of 5-2 like it was. So the semifinal is going to be much must-watch television, in my opinion. But we'll get into that when we preview the first semifinal. All right, let's go to the next day, Saturday. England, Sweden. England wins 2-0. I'm dying to hear what you have to say about the English team.
I mean, they're really good at set pieces. I think that's been proven. They did what they needed to do against a Swedish team where once Sweden was down, you knew it was going to be hard for them to try to get back in the game. I just like the way – I think this England team, what I like about it is you can tell they get along really well and they play really well and they play for each other. I think that's something that you can't take away, and I've been really impressed by that, by the unity of the team and how well they all how well they play together. It's been I like it. It's been fun to watch. And, I mean, their keeper has just been phenomenal as well for England, Pickford. I don't know. What did you think about this game?
So, yes, I agree with you that England on set pieces was literally their savior. And I kind of feel like it's been their savior throughout this tournament. And I'm just like, where's this England side coming from? Because I didn't see this England side in qualification. When I saw them in qualification, I saw pretty much what Sam Allardyce wanted, and it was just like a shell of what Sam Allardyce wanted. So, first of all, could you imagine if Sam Allardyce was in the World Cup right now?
Yeah, this team would not be as fun or would not be. It would be a more English style, quote unquote, type of team. Like the best thing that's happened to England was Sam Allardyce getting kicked off.
Hey, well, he has a perfect winning percentage. 1 game, 1 win. You can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't. Well, what I like about this team too, it's it's a young flair to them too. This team is more fresh faced, and I think that's what makes them likable as well. You got Kane, you got Sterling, you got Lee, you got Lingard, you got Tripper, you got Stones. It's not, and then even the guys on the bench like Dyer and Rashford, Loftus-Cheek. It's a fun young team to watch.
And it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they look. Well, after this World Cup and in qualification for the Euros of 2020. But what I thought was interesting, someone dug this up after the match, is Maguire tweeted something out about it taking him 4 hours to build something from IKEA, and how England was going to Sweden had to pay for that. He was going to take revenge on Sweden, so he took revenge on Sweden by scoring the first goal.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was funny.
What are the odds, really?
I know. Oh, yeah, that was great. But yeah, just one quick note on the Swedish team. I mean, they've been getting a lot of flack for, not being the most talented team in the world, but this has been a good story and because this tournament has shown it's been more about teams than the individual players. And that's exactly what this Swedish team was. They were one unit. They had they knew what they were doing when they played together. They played a very specific style and a specific idea, and they went through it, and it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing soccer, but you can tell it's good to watch teams like that who play for each other and play team soccer and come out with a purpose, come out with an idea, and know what each of their roles are to make it as far as they did. So I think there's nothing to keep their head down if you're Sweden. I think they had a great run. They knocked off they helped knock off Germany in the group stage. They won the group with Mexico and Korea. They got the victory over Sweden in the quarterfinals, even though the goal was deflected. But I mean, this is a Swedish team that should be very proud about what they accomplished, not only in this tournament but all throughout qualifying, with knocking Holland off in the group stage, knocking Italy off in the playoff, and then getting as far as they did. I think this has been a very great run for the Swedish team, especially without Ibrahimovic, who's been the focal point of their team for 10 years, and they showed the unity of their squad and that it's more than just one player.
Well, which is great because they're getting out of his massive shadow, and I think most of that shadow is just pumped in by his inflated ego. But if you walk on the street and you ask a soccer fan, who can you name from that's Swedish and play soccer? They're going to all say Ibrahimovic. Now at least there's 23 other guys that people are going to be able to say. Or at least hopefully they'll remember their names.
Yeah, I'll definitely remember Berg just because I've never seen a forward do so little forward things. But I'm still mad that he whiffed that shot against Mexico and the other guy came in behind him and finished it. That's why I'll remember Berg. But I digress.
All right. Let's move on to what was one of the most exciting games, well, probably the most exciting game in the quarterfinals. Croatia, Russia, 2-2. Croatia wins 4-3 on penalties. What are your thoughts on this? Because I have a lot of thoughts on this.
My thoughts, I'm not going to lie, when the keeper, Sabaskic, went down with about a minute left in the regular time, I'm like, uh-oh, here it goes. Here's where the conspiracy theories start. But no, I mean, it was a fantastic game. Both teams went all out. Croatia showed the kind of courage and the kind of resilience that they've lacked in other tournaments that they've been able to show this tournament, which is fantastic. Russia played their hearts out. They were energized by the crowd. They fed off of their crowd. Even when they looked like things weren't going to go their way, they found a way to keep going. I was somebody who didn't even think Russia was going to get out of the group stage. So the fact they made it this far and the way they went out with their heads high is fantastic. For Croatia, this is their second overtime game now this tournament, so they've already accumulated 60 more minutes than England has. I wonder, we'll talk about this later, but that's just something to keep an eye on as well, that they've already played 2 extra minute games. Recovery time will be interesting. But, Luka Modric has been fantastic this tournament. Lovren has been good in the back. Mandzukic does what he does for them really well: hold up the ball, hold up play, allow the other players to get up. I don't know. It was a fun and entertaining game. It's the kind of game that captures everybody's attention and makes everybody watch. And you find yourself cheering for a team or not cheering for a team that you had no emotional investment in before the tournament or even a couple days before, and then you find yourself fully immersed in this drama that is the World Cup with a game like today. But I don't know. What do you think?
So, being the Russian fan here, Chercheshev's goal was amazing. Yeah. I actually got off my couch and started screaming because all of his goals have gotten me off my butt and started screaming because they've all been gorgeous. But that really started me to think, maybe we could do this. Maybe we can do this. And then Croatia scores on the 39th minute. So I'm like, why did I start thinking we could do this? Oh, I blame myself. And then, as we said, the Croatian keeper goes down. And at that point, I'm just kind of like, does Croatia need to bring in their backup keeper now? Or are they just he's trying to milk time off the clock and just go straight to penalties? Because this was for both teams. This was their second extra time game back to back. So both of them were tired. The Russians definitely more than the Croatians, because the Russians don't train as hard as other teams because they know they're not going to win against the likes of Spain or Croatia on any given day. So to beat them, they really need to go to penalties and play the defensive mindset game. And so when we saw in extra time, especially after Croatia scored, well, even before Croatia scored, Russia was sending guys forward and leaving less guys in the back. And I'm just kind of like, what are you trying to do? You need to park the bus. And I said in the last podcast, they need to park the bus if they're going to win. And if the first goal was given up on a defensive mistake. And then the second goal was a mistake off the corner. And that was just poor defending. And I'm just like, you let 2 slip through the cracks, guys. Come on. And then Fernandez's goal in the 115th minute was just gorgeous. I would have died to have been in that stadium to hear that crowd. But I want to talk about penalties for a second. What did you think of? Did you have any thoughts on the penalties at all?
I thought, well, the first save, the one where Fernandez misses it, he tried to do the little chip. He didn't hit it down the middle, so he hit to his side. He allowed for, I'm terrible at pronouncing Croatian names, but Subasic, he allowed him to get up and make the save, which was great. The Modric PK that went off the post and then came all the way across and went in, that's a second PK that he hasn't shot that well, but went in. I don't know, PK is such a luck of a draw. You need a luck of a draw because each player handles them differently, and no PK shootout is ever the same. A lot of it, just comes down to, are you able to place the ball where you want to play, and do you have the composure enough to put the power that you want to put on it, as well as the location that you want to put on it. So, every PK shootout's different, and the emotions and how someone reacts to being in that situation is hard to control as a human. So
I want to talk about the first penalty kick hit by Smolov. What was he thinking? Because he looked like he chipped it. And
I think he just mishit it.
it kind of looked like a chip, and I'm like,
I thought he was trying to chip it. I just think he missed the location where he wanted to chip it to, because he chipped it to his left, the keeper's right, which allowed Civic to get up, and he dove and then to react and get up once he saw that it was chipped. If he just chips it down the middle, it probably goes in. But I just think he mishit it down to a side, and just happened to be the side the keeper went to.
well, he must have missed it because it was so frustrating to watch that live and see it on replay. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This is why I hate penalty kicks like they are. I really do believe that we need to go back to the old school NASL shootouts. Put the ball at the 35-yard line. You got 5 seconds. Make a move and shoot. That's a shootout. This is just dumb luck.
Well, it's dumb luck, but it's not dumb luck, because you need to have within yourself the composure and the skill to put the ball where you want to put it. I don't think it's luck. I think part of it's skill and mental skill and physical skill. Mental skill of being able to drown out any of the doubt you might have or the nervousness you might have, and the actual skill of this one I'm going to do with the ball and this one I'm going to pull it. Because me as a goalkeeper, you know that a great shot beats a great goalkeeper every day, especially from 12 yards out.
Yep.
So I don't think it's luck. I mean, it's only luck to a point. It takes skill to take PKs as well as to put yourself in position to save them.
So if you're a Russian, what do you take away the most from this World Cup?
If I'm a Russian fan, I think I don't think they surpassed expectations. I think it was a great run for them. They beat European power in Spain in PKs, and then they took one of the dark horses in the tournament to PKs. I mean, the only game they didn't look good in was against Uruguay, in which they lost 3-0. And but besides that, they gave their fans a lot to enjoy. A 5-0 win, and they beat against Saudi Arabia. Then they beat Egypt. I mean, they showed that they weren't just there to be the host. They played as hard as they could, and they made it as far as they could, and they were a couple PKs away from making it to the semifinals, which would have been crazy if it was a Russia-USA or Russia-England semifinals.
No, that would have been so interesting.
Yeah. What do you take away if you're a Russian fan? I take away they can play with their heads held high. I mean,
well, this is Russia's best performance in the World Cup as Russia.
Russia, yeah, not after they've USSR, yeah.
Split, yeah. So that's definitely something to hold your head up high at. But at the same time, you had all this hope and you had all this belief that you could have made it to the semis, and you were almost there. It kind of feels like Euro 2008 a bit. And you had the Shaq run of Russia in the Euros, and you had Andrei Arshavin and Roman Pavlyuchenkov doing what they do best, well, what they did best at the international stage, and silencing the critics, and which has the famous picture, which is actually my computer background of Arshavin putting his finger up to his mouth, shushing everyone. And it was just a beautiful moment. And then they go and face Spain, and they lose to Spain. Which, I mean, it's something definitely to build on as a national team. I really do hope that that Russia can keep the core of the team together to move on to Euro 2020 qualifying, because that's going to be a whole nother mess. And hopefully this builds for Russian football for years to come, and so that Russia's golden generation may actually happen at some point in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectations for the tournament for Russia were much lower, and so I think they totally exceeded what any expectations anybody had of them, even of themselves, I think. So, and these are the kind of performances, and these are the type of events that, that inspire future generations, future kids, in moments like these. So you could see something from Russia in the years to come.
All right, let's talk about the the first one we have is France versus Belgium in St. Petersburg. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's going to be an interesting coaching battle. because you have Deschamps, who I mentioned earlier, gets very conservative very quickly when he doesn't feel like things are going so smoothly. And then you have Javier Martinez, who doesn't know the word defense, and who literally plays an outside winger as one of their three center backs. So it's like you're getting two opposite ends of the spectrums when it comes to coaching. And I mean, so I think the coaching battle will be interesting, especially once the game actually starts, and who does what tactically, who does what with their substitutions. I think that's going to be fascinating. I think Lukaku against Varane and that back line is going to be great to watch. I give the edge a little more to France just because I think they're overall a little more talented. But I think this game is going to be 3-2 and just a spectacular game to watch.
3-2 France?
Yeah, I'll go 3-2 France.
So you don't see this going into extra time?
It could be extra time. It could be 1-1 extra time, and they just keep going at each other, and it goes 3-2 extra time. I just think this game is set up to be like fantastic because both teams are so talented, and both teams are meeting expectations that people had of them, which I think is great. I mean, you just look at the players across both boards, especially from the midfield up, and it's just like it wets your whistle. You get so excited.
I mean, it really is. This is Belgium's supposedly golden generation, and France, well, they've been building up on our fantastic team, and so this is just the continuation of it. And so, in my mind, it's going to be interesting to see how the two offenses can go at each other if they can continue to go at each other. Because I see this match going into a shootout, and this may take a while. And I do see all four subs being used, and I really think this is going to be one of those someone is going to put in a sub that most of us are going to be sitting there scratching our heads at, and we're going to be going, "Why did he put him in?" And he turns out to be the hero, and everyone's going to be like, "Okay, I'll never question the manager again." But then again, that's just me. And I do see France winning this. Personally, I think Belgium is going to win if they can neutralize literally everyone on France's front line. But I know that's next to impossible.
Yeah, and then I don't think Belgium has the personnel to try to defensively to contain everything that France has offensively. So I think what they have to do is go out and try to, similar to what they did in Brazil, try to put the pressure on early, attack them, and then try to get an early goal that way and kind of push France back and force France to keep exposing themselves more, so to allow Belgium to attack more too. I think they're going to have to play that similar to how they played Brazil in that way. Like, yes, Belgium's opening goal was from a free kick and it was from an own goal, but they still put themselves in a situation to get that own goal. And then they're going to need a fantastic game from their goalkeeper Contral to keep them in the game. But I expect Belgium doesn't know any other style but to attack. So I think that will allow this to be a more open game, which France can do and have the personnel to do it. They just haven't done it that much. But when it's been asked for them, they have done it. Like they did it against Argentina. But I don't know if that was more just because of Argentina was completely incompetent in many levels, and that's the way the game went. But I think this allows Belgium style is going to allow for France to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, let's move on to the second semifinal: Croatia versus England in Luzhniki Stadium. What are your thoughts on this?
I think you have possibly the best midfield left in the tournament in Croatia, battling a team whose build-up play doesn't allow. Like when you watch England play, they don't really play that much through the midfield through Henderson, or you mostly just try to go out through the back. They use Walker a lot, and they try to get the ball up and let Kane and Sterling and Ali go at it. So I think it'll be interesting in that regard to see who's able to put their foot on the game early and be the ones to control it. And then as the game goes on, Croatia has a fantastic starting 11, probably I think, a better starting 11 than possibly than England. But the thing is, I think England has more off the bench that can help them. And Croatia, it'll be interesting if you can start seeing the wear and tear of Croatia of having to play 2 extra time games over the last week and a half, and how that plays a role.
Well, so to me, that's the biggest issue. It's the fact that they played 2 back-to-back extra time games, so their legs are going to be very heavy. They're probably extremely tired, and England possibly has the opportunity to run all over them, or Croatia could just sit back and play park the bus like Russia did against them, which they could do. I don't see them doing it because they've not done it yet. But if Croatia's going to win this match, they need to beat England on the counterattack, and they need to prevent free kicks and prevent restarts for England to get it near the box. Because that's how England has been scoring most of their goals, is free kicks right outside the box or corner kicks. And that's fine and dandy, but the fact that they can't score and that they haven't really scored all too much in open play is a little bit worrisome. And the fact that they're in the semifinals of the World Cup really should set off alarms to some people. It may not be coming home, everybody. I hate to say it, but it may not.
Yeah, I just think it'll be if Croatia can get Modric on the ball and he's allowed to control the flow and the pace, and when you have him and Rakitic playing together, they have the type of talent. They're 2 of the best midfielders in the world, and they can control the game for you and dictate the pace on what's going on. So if they're able to get that, and then you have Perisic and Rebic out wide, the first 45 minutes will be key for Croatia, especially when we talk about the tired legs and stuff. If they're able to get a lead on England and not forced to extract so much extra energy on trying to either stay in the game or having to chase the game, that's going to be huge. So look for the first 45 minutes to be big, to see if Croatia can try to get ahead, and so they don't have to rely on chasing the game later or chasing the ball when England has it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So who do you think is going to win this game?
I want to say Croatia just because I love their starting 11, and I think they play. I love Modric. I think he's finally getting the dues that everybody who watches Real Madrid on a weekly basis and watches La Liga a lot knows, that he's been one of the best 4 or 5 midfielders in the world, and now I think the rest of the world is starting to see that, and to watch his leadership for somebody who gets so much flack in Croatia as well. To see, I think it'd be a good story for that, but it's hard not to like this upstart younger England side who don't have that posh ego that old England teams have. I think Croatia going through, but it won't. But I don't feel as confident as I do with the France-Belgium game. Even though I feel this one's even harder. Even though I feel like this one might be easier to call, I think I can see either team winning. Right? Semifinals at this point. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised at all if England wins. They found a style that's worked for them. They're taking advantage of their opportunities, and they're doing, set pieces a part of the game, and they've done that very well.
Now, I would definitely be inclined to agree. I saw Croatia live in Kaliningrad against Nigeria. Croatia was a force to be reckoned with then, even though it was against Nigeria. I still feel that Croatia is going to win this match, and it's not coming home England. I'm sorry, but it's not. And Croatia, even though that they're tired, they're exhausted, they're pooped. Let's put it simply, they're pooped. They're probably going to be able to dig deep here and make it and somehow beat England, and everyone's going to be scratching their heads going, how do they do it? They just dug deep. I've seen Croatia in qualifying, they've been able to dig deep to get through. And so this is going to be very interesting to watch from Croatia, because everyone's going to be focusing on how tired they are and how tired England's not. So that's probably going to be something you're going to watch for the commentators to talk about. But I really do. I see Croatia going through.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, we talked about the golden generation for Belgium. This is a golden generation and the last real tournament for players like Modric and Mandzukic and Rakitic, really. And that plays a huge role when in their minds when they're like, they know this is like their last chance for glory. And they made it this far, and they're riding the wave of confidence as well. So, I mean, look for that as well. With this England team, it's a younger team, and not that once the game starts, these things play a role, but this is the last chance for these specific set of players from Croatia to make a tournament final. So after constantly coming up short and constantly disappointing over and over for the last couple of years. So, I mean, they're a mentally tough team, and you need to be mentally tough to get through 2 overtimes and 2 PKs shootout. So I don't think it would be a surprise for a lot of people outside the English-speaking media, just because there is so much attention when it comes to English-based soccer from the EPL, which naturally translates to the English national team. But for everybody else who watches, who gets a lot of different type of soccer from all around the world, this Croatia team is as good as we've seen, and they were one of the dark horses before the tournament started. So, I mean, it'll be fun. Both semifinals are setting themselves up to be fun battles.
All right. We got to wrap this up here. Got a parting words of wisdom for anyone want to put out there? Or
yeah, I think remember 4 years ago and during the semifinals, there was a Germany just squashed Brazil. Don't look for the France Belgium game to be a squash, but look for a lot of goals like that, and then look for the Croatia game against England to be a lot like that Argentina-Holland semifinals that nobody talks about. That'll 0-0. So look for something. I predict it's going to be something like that. One game is going to be just straight fire, and they're going to be going at each other. The other game is going to be a little more of a wet blanket, I think, to be honest with you. Because that's just the way kind of soccer works. It tends to balance itself out.
All right.
So, yeah, those are my final predictions, I guess.
All right. Unfortunately, we could probably keep talking about this for hours on end, but we have to stop. This has been your soccer podcast presented by Public House Media. Be sure to check out our other podcasts at Public House Media, and on Apple Podcasts and however else you may get podcasts. For Ivan, I'm Zach Wolpoff. Signing off for now, and we will see you after the second semifinal.